Hey everybody, Sabi here, giving you a little update on things that I'm seeing, bullish and bearish. Um, we have a potential completed move here. Um, it could be complete, and we will find out what the weekly candle closes. But currently, you do have a weekly candle close lower low, and this formation can be a completed move. And I will just measure this lower area from the start of the uptrend and project it from the closes there. So we have a leg up, sideways, ABC up. This sideways action could be matching this sideways action, and then you just have one more push up right to the 1-to-1 fib extension or roundabout, giving you a completed move. This is in log scale, but it's just for demonstration that the pattern could be complete here with that leg matching that leg. Then this sideways action here, matching this sideways action here, looks very similar. This move up, potentially matching that move up. For now, it's a completed pattern, and you do have a lower low close, so I'd be on guard for a potential downtrend to start here, and maybe come down for this lower liquidity on some weird flash crash. I'd be open to that option. And what would that mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, this could potentially just be your wave one, and you're coming down for a wave two. And then your bull market can actually start. I'm not convinced that's happening just yet, but it's on the radar because we do have a lower low close. And whenever you have a lower low close, you can expect a potential lower high to come in somewhere around the 100K level, or maybe as low as 95. It might be very important to get above that area in the first place. But as long as we're below that, it could be a distribution, and it's a small time frame distribution, similar to the way a wave one would then just go into a reaccumulation and then head up, which would really mess up the cycles and make the cycles appear very, very different. But this can be a completed move. The way that we negate that is by having a weekly candle close higher high, and then you would have the uptrend resumption. So cross your fingers for that to happen. As per Camel Finance, we have a potential weekly and daily cycle low going on. So let's see if we get some bull market coming out of there. And if we don't, we might just have some sideways chopping. I'm just looking at the way this pattern right here may be repeating here, and I'm open to the idea just because of the way the lower low came in, lower high, lower low, expect a lower high, and then a flush down. You kind of have the same thing working here, where from that low you had a lower low, lower high, lower low. Maybe you come up for liquidity and then flush down again to backtest previous all-time high. Certainly something to keep on the radar. Not to say that's definitely going to happen, but you definitely want to be open to the idea. On the daily chart here, you can see the way the pattern is kind of mimicking what happened in there. How you had this ABC down, popped up, back tested the highs, and then came down to take out the lows. And you sort of did the same thing here where you had a little three-wave down, popped up, and then took out the lows. So you might be right here about to come up for liquidity, push up here, grab liquidity, and flush down again. That kind of makes sense. I mean, this would be a profit-taking area for any longs because of that liquidity right there, and you would probably get some type of rejection selling down maybe to previous support, active support again, and you'll be in that stronger portion of the consolidation, or you come back down and you take out the low one more time, similar to what happened last summer, how price just came down and capitulated down and then recovered. So I'm open to that as well. Zooming into current price action on the swings for the daily, you still have lower, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, working on an area where you would expect a lower high to come in somewhere around the 88,000. We want to see this close above 91, 92,000 to get higher than at least that high, but preferably above the 94 to 95,000 area. Closing a daily above there would suggest that you're making a higher high there, then you try to buy the higher low and push up for at least this liquidity, if not more. But price may just chop and continue pushing up into liquidity, similar to what happened last year. Right at this juncture right here, you came down and took out the low, and then you kind of did a little ABC up here, and then just kind of pushed and then chopped into that liquidity. So we might be repeating a leg like this up into that liquidity. The RSI is kind of painting that picture, how you came down here and you had daily bullish divergence right there, and then you popped up to resist the 60 or the oversold area of the RSI. You're kind of doing the same thing here where you have a divergence, and maybe this is going to push up and give you a lower high on the RSI. So if you draw it out, you have like this ABC here, and you have a similar thing going on here, and you have something similar happening in the RSI with the divergence there. And now you're pushing up. You currently do have daily bearish divergence, which is continuation down. You do have a lower high. The RSI is pushing up to similar areas from before. Let's hope we get a little continuation, because your 4-hour is in an uptrend. Your daily is trying to be in an uptrend. It's not quite there yet, though. Zoom into the 4-hour here, and we can see out of this formation here, we do have an uptrend starting here. Change in behavior on the 4-hour. Not quite there on the daily. And this pushed up here to grab this liquidity, and that's all it did. As the daily candle closed, popped up and did nothing but selling off thus far. Let's measure where we would find a higher low using the measurement tool that I use on closures. Right there, and we bring it down to there. And maybe bring it down to the wick for worst case scenario. Brings a higher low coming in around 83.5 to 83.7. There's a little bit of liquidity there that could be taken. That's probably your point of control of this range, where most of the volume is traded. If price does come down that far, takes all that liquidity, your stop loss is down there at 81,200 if you get that opportunity. If not, just watch for a lower time frame uptrend to start somewhere above, maybe 84,500. You might maintain that range. Just draw a box around that to show the reaccumulation that happened here. A nice little box here, popped back up inside the consolidation. Target was that liquidity. It reached that target, so some profit taking is bound to happen. If price remains above that box, that's definitely bullish, but you may have that 4-hour higher high. Your higher low may be as low as these wicks down here from yesterday, maybe down to 83,200. Regardless, my stop loss, I want to leave it down at 81,200, because if you take out that liquidity there, you're likely coming down to take out these wicks, and it might cascade down to break the lows. So you definitely want to have your stop in place, especially when you're basically playing a counter trend to the weekly and the daily. You are playing a counter trend, but as long as the 4-hour is in an uptrend, you're all right. But if you close a 4-hour candle lower low, sell the lower high, and expect the lows to be taken out. Maybe you get a 1, 2, 3 drives here before a larger bounce. formation that we have is really good. It looks very corrective going up. You're going to hear Elliott Wave people say there's an ABC. It looks very corrective. This is how uptrends start on Bitcoin. They tend to be very slow and methodical, which is why I haven't made a video in a while, because there was nothing to post. We're just checking sideways, and we haven't taken out the stop loss from before, which is now moved up. But you may have an opportunity to add if it comes down here. If it breaks above the high and closes up there, you're probably going to continue the uptrend, and you're targeting these liquidities up here at 93. So that would be a plus if we break above there, maybe tomorrow or the day after. But we want to see some strength coming out of here. Showing strength is a good thing, and that would be basically getting back up into the upper portion of this range. Currently above the bull bear line where previous support was. Tested it, rejected from it, and now potentially we come back up and get acceptance into this range and then hold that as support. Moving forward, that would be super bullish. I'd be on guard for a sell-off coming, from the 101 area. If it does want to take that liquidity, you might have a sharp rejection there back down to support, and then the uptrend can start from there. That would be cool. But yeah, we need to show some strength coming out of here. If we are going to show some strength, and it's doing a good job so far. Slow and steady, gives you ample opportunities to enter, move the stops up, and the next opportunity I see is a back test of the tops here. Maybe get those lower wicks. Look for it maybe at New York Open, or maybe at 3 o'clock tomorrow during the New York close. That might be when it reverses. Stop loss is there at 81,200 though. That's the opportunity I see for now, and hopefully we push up into the upper liquidity. Speaking of showing strength, let's look at another chart like XRP. XRP is a chart that is showing relative strength compared to everything else in the crypto markets. So it's worth noting that XRP is holding its range. Holding its range is a good thing. That doesn't mean it doesn't come down and grab that liquidity, but for now, it's stronger than just about anything else. And in a market, you tend to want to buy strength. You don't fade the strength. So if this one's holding up, even if you have a corrective bounce, like a dead cat bounce on, say, Bitcoin, this one, seeing as this strong, may actually break its highs. Well, that would be its all-time high. So you may see relative strength that closes up there. If you do see XRP closing a weekly candle up above these highs, expect a back test and continuation up. Which brings me to the chart of Ethereum, ETHUSD. This chart is showing relative weakness. You can tell this year its range it has now broken down, whereas XRP is still holding above its range, and also Bitcoin also broke down as well. So this one is showing relative weakness because you haven't even made an all-time high yet. That's for this whole cycle is showing relative weakness. And this does have a very nice completed pattern that measures really well. I wanted it to get one more little spike up, but it didn't give it to me. But let's draw that out. You have the ABC there. You have some kind of ABC down. This did an ABC down. And then this chopping right here and then pop up. Chopping here and popped up. That pattern looks very organized and very complete. It's like the chart wanted to do the same thing, repeat it over and over, especially this last leg that kind of chopped similar manner to that before popping up, just like that move after doing an ABC. And you also have a weekly candle close lower low. This is currently the 3-day chart, but the weekly did close a lower low. So you do have the makings or the start of a potential downtrend here. If you have a lower high right there, that would be your sell. So maybe you get up to 3,000 and there's your sell. Something very interesting is this current leg down matches this in length. So that's what makes me think be on guard for a little ABC up to 3,000. And that may be the short for a move down to like 600 bucks, unfortunately. Why would 600 bucks be a target? Well, that's just taking this current swing low here to swing high and getting our first retracement here down to the 382, some kind of move up, and it's not uncommon to reach the zero point 0.5 fib retracement, which would be, say, $666 just for good old satanic sake. Then you may have on your hands some kind of Elliott wave formation starting in November of 2018 for an A or a 1-2. This would probably be wave 3 here. Your wave 4 may be completing, and then you can pop up for 5. You'd probably have some monster divergences there, and it would kind of look like a reaccumulation formation as well. We just draw, whoa, we just draw a little box on this, similar to that. Come down, take out the lows, pop up for the highs. So that's maximum liquidity. Personally, I don't know why Ethereum would want to go so high, but it's a pattern, and it could be the pattern before Ethereum comes down and falls apart or has continuation. So maybe we start having some kind of bear market coming, and it's brought to you by altcoins that are doing extremely poorly on the back of Ethereum, making this ABC and now make another ABC down. That might bring Bitcoin down. I mean, the stock market could be coming down. Maybe we have blackouts or something like that. Some kind of catalyst to bring things down. It's just something, something to be aware of. I would say from the current standpoint, I would want to see Ethereum start to show a little strength here and bounce, and maybe it gets up to this liquidity up at like 3,000. And if it gets higher than that, then I'd be more optimistic. You may have some kind of reaccumulation going on locally, which would be a spring right here, but you need a show of strength. So I wouldn't be super bullish on Ethereum until you're back close to all-time highs, breaking above the 2024 highs, then holds up there. If it holds up there, then yeah, this thing could be very bullish, and 10K is probably the target. But until then, I cannot deny that is a lower low. We'll look for a lower high. It's just kind of the way charts play out, especially with this pattern potentially completing like that. It's definitely a setup. Your stop loss would go at those highs, or maybe even closer. Maybe look for a rejection at 3,000, and that would become your stop loss for a sell setup. Definitely don't mean to be the bearer of bad news with regards to Ethereum. It's just reading the chart, reading the trend, and you need to be open to potentially getting a lower high here, especially on Ethereum, which is showing weakness. Bitcoin as well could be getting a lower high. We'll see. XRP is the one that kind of looks stronger, but we will see if that trades counter to the market and actually closes above its all-time highs, which would be bullish. Other than that, everything's looking like it's going to be a slow grind up and maybe a sell setup coming until we break above some highs, back test, and then get continuation. For Ethereum, I don't think I'd like to see this low get taken out from here at 1770. If you are taking out that low, you're likely pushing for these previous lows at 1400. And if you start doing that, why wouldn't you just take out all the lows? So yeah, stop loss on that has to be really tight there. I wouldn't want to see it going beyond that. But I could also see the sell setup from what this is looking like. That's just matching that. Let me draw that out. not to say this has to play, but it's an ABC right there. You maybe just repeating this before you break down further. Repeat this leg. If that happens, that would be even more bearish, I would say, because then you're pushing liquidity. You probably have divergence for a bounce, but then that would be pretty confidence inducing for a sell setup, because you're really showing weakness here. So any further weakness coming out of this, I really wouldn't be bullish on this. So keep your stops very tight on this and have a good night. Keep the stops tight.